Hey everybody, Nate here, back with another episode of Backstage with Nate. This episode is about one of my all-time favorite topics, character analysis. We're gonna sink into what character analysis really is, how to use it, and I'm gonna give you some amazing resources to help you work on understanding your characters so that you can bring them to life in a truly honest way. Stay tuned. Character analysis seems like one of those things that you have to do in school in a way of trying to document your work for an acting class, but it's so much more than that. It's a way of really sinking in and understanding your character and understanding why they do the things that they do. But more importantly, it's a way of looking at your character and trying to figure out how you, as the performer, connect to your character. Figuring out how you, as the person playing the role, connect and share things with your character, maybe even in ways that you never thought you could. We all connect to the characters that we play in different ways. Some characters are easier to connect with than others. Taking the time and figuring out who your character is and what you have in common is a great way of figuring out things about your character and allowing you opportunities to explore things in your character that maybe you didn't even know existed. Today, I'm just going to go through some basic things that you can ask yourself while you're doing your character analysis to try to figure out who your character is. We have two types of information about our characters. We have given circumstances, things that are given to us by the playwright, things that are given to us in the score, in the script, in the music even, that are things that we can't change. If you're playing a person that really existed in real life, you're going to have facts about this character that you're going to find in biographies or autobiographies or research that you might do about the character. Those are given circumstances, things that you can't change. There's a whole other side of information. These are the things that you get to discern for yourself, things that you get to make decisions about for your character. And a lot of times, these are things that are really going to influence your connection to the character. These are the things that you bring to the character that might set your performance of that character apart from other people's interpretations. Going through and figuring out the difference between the given circumstances and the things that you are getting to decide is super important. So as we're exploring these different things, if it's something that you know for sure is put into the script, that's a given circumstance. You can't change that. But some of these are going to be things that you're going to be making up or deducing for your character. And the reason why you get to do this is because you don't know everything about your character. That's where you as the performer come in. This is why you were cast in that role. Your life experience and who you are as a person are things that you bring to inform choices about your character. Now, the things that are the given circumstances you can't change, but the things that you bring, the information that you bring to your character based on your life experiences, is going to impact how you make choices for your character. So let's start exploring the different things that you can do in researching your character to start giving you background and research to justify the choices that you make for your characters. The first thing that you're going to want to think about in your character is their name. What is your character's name? Why is that their name? I know my parents spent a long time figuring out my name. I also know that my middle name was my dad's grandfather's name. So there's a lineage there. There's a family backstory that's going to tell a lot about not only me as a character, but also my family backstory, which is going to influence different choices that I'm going to make in my life. What does the choice of your character's name say about them? Take the time and think about, is it because of their location? Is it because of their ethnicity? Is it because of their family backstory? Or, as it is often the case in some musicals, does the character's name say something about their personality? Take the time, think about your character's name, and notate that in your research. Other things that you're going to want to be thinking about that are probably given circumstances is, where is your character from? How old is your character? What is your character's occupation? What is your character's family history? What are your character's family connections or the relationships to their family or to their friends around them? These are things that are often given in the script that you can't really change, but are going to tell a lot about your character. If you don't know any of these particular things, these are definitely areas that you're going to want to start thinking about and making informed choices for your character, because these types of things impact your character's everyday life, thus influencing the choices that they're going to make in the story that's being told on stage. Starting to look at your character's physical characteristics. What do they look like? What do they talk like? Starting to look at your character's physical characteristics. What do they look like? How do they walk? How do they move? What are some words that describe your character's physicality? Oftentimes these things are put into the script, but more often than not, these are areas where you're going to start being able to shape information about your character. How your character moves is going to influence the choices that they make in the story. If a character is older, they're not going to be able to move as quickly, so they're probably not going to be able to just jump up and attack someone. They might need to approach an attack from maybe a verbal way, or maybe with other influences. Take the time and figure out your character's physical characteristics and see how those physical traits are going to influence the actions and the other choices that they make throughout the story. This next category is what I call the favorites category. These are things that your character is interested in. Their favorite movie, their favorite book, their favorite color, their favorite food, their favorite song, their favorite musical style. All of these are things that are probably not included in the script, but are going to tell things about your character. These are going to be areas that are going to really start getting into the specifics for your character. One of my favorites of these is your character's favorite color. So I'm going to use the example of Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz to talk about the importance of a character's favorite color. Now, a lot of times when I ask people, what do you think Dorothy's favorite color is, they will automatically say red. And that's because of the ruby slippers. Of course, we all know the ruby slippers in The Wizard of Oz. But the thing is, Dorothy did not choose the ruby slippers. They were given to her. She had no influence on their color whatsoever. But one thing that we do know about Dorothy is that she's wearing that blue dress. So you, as the performer, could take and decide, is the blue dress significant in deciding what her favorite color is? If you decide that Dorothy's favorite color is blue, you have countless references in the show as to how that could be important. We know that Dorothy talks about when she's in Oz, she says, "Can you even dye my eyes to match my gown?" That's a very important line if Dorothy's favorite color is blue. It's going to give you a reason, a motivation behind saying that line. It's also going to give you some influence into why maybe her dress is blue. One of the things I always like to explore with the character of Dorothy is she has this blue dress, and blue is her favorite color. Where did she get the dress from? Did Auntie Em make her the dress? Did her mom make the dress? Is the dress one of the last things that she has in connection to her mom? Or is it even a connection still to Auntie Em? If she's in Oz and she's doing all kinds of these crazy things, I always think of the apple trees sequence. If she's roughhousing with the apple trees, this dress is going to be very important. She's not going to want a tear to happen in her dress. So when she gets up, she's probably going to look and make sure that her dress is okay. This is now going to give you a physical action which is going to round out your character even more. These are just examples of ways that you can apply favorite color to your character's choices or to the actions that they take when they're on stage. I know these are kind of extreme examples, but I wanted to give you a really realistic way of motivating choices that you are going to have on stage as your character. Take the time, think of your character's favorite book, their favorite movie, their favorite TV show, their favorite piece of music. Take the time, think about how those choices will influence choices that your character makes throughout the story. Another favorite question I have in character analysis is, what animal is your character most like? There's a very famous story of Marlon Brando working on Tennessee Williams' A Streetcar Named Desire, playing the role of Stanley. Of course, we all know the iconic Stella moment. But one of the things that I love about him in that role is he really explores the animal magnetism that is so inherent in the character of Stanley. And we see him explore this physically using the idea that Stanley is similar to a gorilla. So if you watch him in that iconic performance, you can see how his physicality is big. He's very driven from his chest and his shoulders, thus affecting the physical choices that his character makes. I'm not saying that you have to totally be influenced to the extreme that Marlon Brando was in his performance as Stanley, but it does give you ways of exploring choices that your character makes. These are not things that maybe your character is consciously aware of, but they are things that can help you define movement vocabulary or even vocal vocabulary that your character has. Figuring out what animal your character is like can also tell you things about their personality. If your character seems very loyal, very trusting, maybe they have dog-like personalities. If your character is very sophisticated, maybe they move in a very elegant way. Maybe exploring them as a cat is a way of starting to discover things about your character. Now, these are just all launching points. These are not things that you have to stick with once you've explored this, but maybe it opens you up to new gestures. Of course, these are going to be choices that you're going to want to refine and make sure are still coming in an honest way. But if that's a piece of information that you have about your character, is that you feel they are snake-like or gorilla-like or frog-like, it's going to influence how you make other choices for your character throughout the show. Other things to think about is your character's connection to you. How is your character different from you is a fantastic way of exploring your character, because you're going to be very conscious of things that your character does that are different than choices you would make. But what I'm more interested in a lot of times is, how is your character similar to you? What do you have in common? These things that are commonalities are going to be things that you're going to be able to bring to the character that maybe another performer playing the same role isn't going to be able to share. If your character maybe has a bunch of siblings and you have a bunch of siblings, that's going to influence choices that you're going to make on your character's behalf because you share that connection. Other people who might have been an only child are not going to be able to understand that relationship and those dynamics nearly as well, so they're probably not going to bring those influences to the character. Maybe you have a medical background and your character is a doctor. That's going to be things that you share with your character. Maybe at some point your character feels like they're misunderstood in their relationship with another character on stage. I'm sure there are times in your life that you have felt misunderstood. How does that recollection of what that felt like influence your understanding of your character's situation? This is where your previous life experience factors in. Things that you share and understand is going to really give you the opportunity to explore things with your character. Now, you don't want to go out and fabricate situations so that you can understand your character. That's a whole other school of acting, which we aren't going to get into in this video series. But think of things that you already know, things you've already learned about yourself that will help influence choices that your character makes on stage. Maybe you've learned something from a previous experience of things that you wouldn't do because that particular choice didn't work in achieving your goal. You're going to make different choices for your character. I always like to say, if you've learned that a stove is hot, you're not going to put your hand on it again. Same thing for your character. If your character goes to put their hand on the stove, you're probably going to stop yourself because you've learned that that's not a good choice. This is again why you were cast in the role. You bring previous life experience to the character that the script doesn't give. So you're going to be able to make really informed choices based on things that you've already experienced. By exposing the choices that you would make in vulnerable situations is going to show the authenticity and the honesty that really does come from really true, believable acting. If you'd like more information about exploring those types of things, reach out to an acting coach or an audition coach. If you'd like more information about working with me, you can find out information on my website. The link is included in the description below. It's a whole bunch of information about character analysis, and there's so much more that you can do to figure out about your characters. Maybe you have something that you always do when trying to understand your characters, a particular question that you always ask yourself. I'd love to hear what it is. Post it in the comment section below. That's it for this episode. I hope you found the information useful. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. The more thumbs in the air, the more episodes will be coming your way. If you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, go click that big red button so that you get notified whenever I post a new video. If you haven't yet followed my studio on social media, all the links for doing so are included in the description below. If you'd like to schedule a coaching session with me, or maybe you're a fellow teacher interested in a masterclass, you can find out more information about scheduling those on my website. The link is included in the description below. Thank you so much for checking out this episode, and I hope this information gets you even closer to finding your stage door. See you soon.